Evening and welcome to the September meeting for the we have a quorum tonight, so we will first item on the agenda is the approval of the June minutes. I do have copies of the minutes in front of you if you want to take just a little time to go over them. They're rather short and brief. And then I will entertain a accept as submitted or favor?
Aye.
Accepted as submitted, or the minutes. Next item, are there any changes to the agenda, either additions or deletions? If not, we'll move along. Let's start off with the liaison reports. Carl is not here yet, although he will be here. He's on his way. I talked to him this afternoon. Bert, anything to report for the Conservancy?
So the Conservancy is having a stewardship event this Saturday, September 9th, at the Groseal High School Nature Area, which is just west of the high school parking lot. And that's the high school nature study area, and we've been working in that area with, it's the site of 4 current Eagle Scout projects, and so we're looking for volunteers to help with that, cleaning up areas that are not part of those Eagle Scout projects, clearing out underbrush, vines, roots, stumps, trash, and debris, and placing wood chips around the trees. It's a long-term project that will be worked on in phases, and we're in the early construction phase. The intent of the Saturday event is to make this site as appealing as possible so it looks nice for homecoming week and the Paint the Town events. So that's this Saturday, and then there's some other stewardship events on September 23rd and October 7th, and on November 11th is our annual meeting. So we hope to see everyone there.
Thank you. Okay, we want to back up a little bit. Carl, could you let us know what's happening at the township?
Yes, sir. Just got in from Tawas, and it is a pleasure to be here tonight. First time in several months we've met. The projects that the township has been working on most recently are acquisition of property. Dale Ream has been in contact. He is our township, our township manager, and as such is the point man on purchases and collecting interest in property. Mr. Ream has sent out letters that have been unresponded to in terms of one acquisition that we have discussed in our executive session and have had no response on that. The second one, he did meet with parties, and my understanding is that they are willing to help us raise sufficient buy their property at a price they deem to be appropriate, which was considerably more than what this commission had looked at. But they were willing to help us with the millage. So, in short, we have not had any success with the second in terms of a price that appears to be something within the township's interest. And with respect to the first parcel, we are still waiting, and that letter has been out, I believe, 5 weeks now, and I believe Mr. Ream has sent a follow-up letter to more of the members. So he is interested in following up with that, has done so, but we have not had any positive feedback from anybody yet.
Thank you. is not here, so we'll have no report from the Recreation Department. Kirsten, if you could, can you give us a little update as far as conflict tonight, and he can't be here, so.
Yeah, sorry, Steve just picked up Mitch from football practice, so it ran late, so he can't be here tonight. So I'll speak on his behalf, and I'm taking notes on his behalf. On behalf of the schools, today was the first day of school, so not much activity over the summer. So as the school year gets ramped up, any ideas that you have or contributions that you'd like to see with the schools, for example, the high school with that area to the west there, I think that's a good relationship we can build on this year. To get the help from the students. So they're looking for volunteer work all the time, so I think that's a good opportunity. Took that note, we'll pass that along. So that's it for the schools.
Thank you.
Want me to segue into the next one topic?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also going to report on behalf of Manchester Trail for him and Lenny, who's not here yet. I have been frequenting Manchester Trail throughout the summer. I did my last bike ride through this morning after the heavy rain that we had yesterday, and I'd like you all to know what a fantastic job TNT has done for us on that trail. We've all seen the big pile of chips at the trailhead the last probably few weeks. I was anxious to see what they did with them after the heavy rain last night and this morning. I went in there, and there is wet chips just naturally from the rain, but there are no large pooling areas of water. There were several trees that had fallen over the summertime. They've all been cut down and cleared and are actually lining the trail, so you've got a nice definition where we didn't previously have any. The chips are all the way to the back end of the trail. You know, that trail goes pretty far deep, so it's a lot of work to get all of those chips back there. So they did an absolutely fantastic job. The trail has been well used all summer long, not just by me, but every time I'm back there, you see at least 3 to 5 people back there using it at any given point. Hats off and a great job to TNT for all the work that they did. Okay. Thanks.
Next one is the Beautification Committee. Pam, if you could give us a report, appreciate it.
Wife Claire have moved to the Kalamazoo area, and we're considering putting some sort of a commemorative, either a statue of a bird, because they're very fond of bird watching when they have their home on Grosse Ile. But we wanted to do something to honor their service, both Art and Claire Kester, because we've lost a couple of very strong, community-minded people. And we're looking for a new member to replace Jerry Page, who has stepped aside. He's been with us for several years. Very helpful, has a tractor, moves mulch when we have a job to do at the Four Corners. And we've been keeping Four Corners weeded and watered when it isn't raining. The Beautification Committee is responsible for 3 of the 4 corners. The southeast corner is maintained by the Garden Club. And Irma Slimko, who's on our committee, she is a master gardener and a diligent weeder. And she even went up off island and pulled all the weeds that were growing in the DTE energy bed. And it's looking much trimmer and cared for on the corner of Parkway and West Jefferson. That's about it with the Beautification Committee.
And this evening we are very happy to have a guest report from the Bike Path Commission head, Brian Pollock. Brian, if you could come up and tell us what's happening with the Bike Path Commission, and I had extra copies of the minutes here, and I'll make sure that you get a copy.
Chair, I appreciate the invitation to come out here and talk with all of you. I know we've talked for some time, over years, about having more coordination with various commissions, so glad to be a part of this and to share some of the news that's been going on with the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. First thing I'd like to mention is that we are working on a draft bicycle and pedestrian plan. It's been a number of years. We do have a draft website where we've been compiling a lot of the information, including a map of existing facilities as well as some of the proposed facilities that we've heard about over the years. This is not to say that any of these are specifically moving forward. It's just something through our public outreach and through the past efforts that we know that these are corridors that at least some folks within the community are behind. So that is, I'll provide you a link with that, but it's gibikeped.wix.com/walkbikegroseal. It's going to be a lot easier if I just send you the link, but it's in draft form right now. Second thing I wanted to mention is that we've been looking at doing maintenance of the paths. Over the years, we have to do several different types of maintenance activities. In the years recent past, we've done some overlays. This year, we're going to be working on the bridges. So we have a West Pfeiffer that's going to be staining 2 of our bridges, and then the third one is going to need a little bit more extensive repair. So we're going to hold off on any staining of that, and so that way we can actually get the save up some funds for actually taking care of the deck on that bridge. But in addition to that, we're looking at the potential for sign reduction along the paths. There's some signs that are definitely needed for safety purposes. There's other ones that are helpful, but there's other ones that are a little bit redundant, and sometimes some of them that have information that conflicts. An example of something that's a safety concern that we'd like to take care of is right over at Macomb and Meridian. So you have a stoplight, but yet you have a stop sign up there. So you have 2 traffic control devices up there telling you 2 different messages potentially, because you could have a walk signal but also have a stop sign over there. So it's a sign that's not needed that we could potentially get rid of, and we've heard from plenty of residents that we'd like to reduce some of those signs to make it complement the more rural nature of our community, and we're trying to work on that. Also, if there's some potential safety markings and such that we might be able to do for some of the mid-block crosswalks, we'd like to explore more of that. So these are in the beginning stages, and we hope to have some more progress over the coming year. We just had a good Walk the Path event a few weekends ago. That was at the same time as our island-wide garage sale on Saturday with the Barradour. A successful event. We had Terry Van England come out, Barry Van England do some music, Tom Malvesto cook some hot dogs. We had lots of people coming by that didn't know about the event, or they're part of the Barradour, and they actually stopped and they enjoyed some of the music and found out that our DDA wants to be a part of it and for future years. So we're hoping that this is going to be an event that's going to be growing and have more popularity. Additionally, tomorrow is the Glow Roll. So this is an event where it's a bike ride. It's going to be at 7:30, starting at the Macomb Commons, so basically 4 corners. And bring your bike, bring your lights, trick them out, have some music, have some fun. It's more like the Disney's Electric Parade. Additionally, Tour de Ile is on September 24th. So that's a long-distance bicycle event that's put on by the Rotary Club. And will be on island, and I believe it might go off island as well. We are also putting our finishing touches on an update of the bike path brochure that we have at some of the welcome centers across Michigan. So I think we had some down in Toledo, in the Monroe Welcome Center, as well as we're supposed to have some up in the Detroit one near Verner and Mexican Town. So this is a compilation that let users know about all the paths that we have on Groseal, some of the events, some of the unique locations in the area. We highlight the open space. We're going to highlight our 2 parks that have kayak launches now, and so we're going to have a draft for that, and I can submit it to you guys to see if there's anything else that you'd like to add to it. Also say that we've been looking at providing more trailhead amenities in certain locations. So perhaps there's areas for bike racks, benches, bike fix-it stations, areas to grab a bag for dog waste and dispose of that. but also wayfinding signage and potentially informational kiosks. So I know that goes into some of the stuff that Open Space has looked into in the past, as well as the Beautification Committee with the signs. So we're looking at how does this all sort of fit together into some a cohesive vision, because one of the big things that I'm not sure you're aware about is that Groseal is part of the Iron Bell Trail. So that's the trail that Governor Snyder envisioned going from Belle Isle up to the Upper Peninsula and Ironwood, and has two routes. One that is bicycling oriented and goes north into Oakland County and Macomb County and up to Lapeer and beyond. The hiking route first comes south, comes along to Groseal is an option, and it goes into the Downriver Link Greenways system, and then heads up into Washtenaw County and out to Jackson. So we are a part of that, and we'd like to, capitalize off of that. And there's potential grants available for some of the work that we could do associated with that. So looking at the wayfinding signage and ways to tell a story about Groseal and all we have to offer, we'd like to do that as a potential enhancement. Last thing I want to mention is that October 4th, 2017 is National Walk to School Day. So we're going to talk to the schools. We haven't talked to them yet this year, but see if they're on board with doing Walk to School Day this year.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The next item is to officially finalize the October date for the Dump the Junk event, plus any other information you wish to share with us. Woody?
October, and the 14th is hazardous waste in North Line, the community school, college. They're going to be taking the hazardous waste up there. Now, for Dump the Junk, we got this weight limit now. It isn't pile everything on and let's rock and roll. You're going to have to make a decision tonight. We fill it up, we fill a bin up, and we stop that bin or whatever. Don't throw it on the ground and keep on throwing. What do you guys want to do?
Can't exceed 26 gross tons.
Per item, per thing. We got to find out what the bucket's going to weigh to start with. That's included in the weight. So we got to find out that first. Do we take so much and then we stop, or what?
I would recommend is that we get in touch with Lenny, who is and Waste Management, and ask them if there are any guidelines, depending on what is in the container, as to whether we allow it to go all the way to the top, or halfway to the top, or 3/4 of the way to the top. So let's just get in touch with Waste Management and have them give us some guidelines based on what we're putting in there.
Okay. Now, when you get the plank wood, they usually load it up, and it's pretty heavy after a while. So, and the way they throw it in, it's helter-skelter. It's not plank straight on. So we could be a lot of air between the wood.
Right. Well, I think Waste Management can give us some pretty good guidelines. So let's get in touch with them and see if they can help us out in that regard.
Okay, so we can have a meeting first week of October. Yeah. And by that time, we should be able to know exactly what we can do and we can't do. Lenny's going to bring 3 buckets, and 1 for the aluminum and 2 for the metal. That'll eliminate a lot of weight there. Mm-hmm. But we got to find out how much the bucket weighs with Waste Management before we start.
Okay.
What do you mean, roll-off boxes? When you say bucket, do you mean?
I mean the thing that they throw it in. I call it a bucket. It's a big yard, right. 2 or 3, 4, 5 yards in there. I don't know how much the steel weighs when we start out. We're only allowed 26. Now, does that include the truck? You know?
I would ask that you talk not just with Waste Management, with Dale Ream as well, to get guidelines on that, because I don't know if that includes it. I believe that's gross weight, would be my guess.
Okay, so it's not the truck.
It would be the gross weight of the entire
Vehicle?
and
And
whatever it's hauling. Correct.
Okay, then we got two things we got to worry about. We got to find out how much the truck's going to weigh and how much is in the bucket. That's going to tell us how much we can take.
And
Is this weight limit because of the bridge restriction? Okay.
And that's, again, subject to a report that Wayne County has indicated would be coming out, the final report on what they expect and to be able to do and the process going forward. So I would talk with Dale before our next meeting to get an update on that and see what that report shows, whether the weight limits are the same or whether they anticipate it'll be a lower or a higher weight limit. But that report has not come out as of yet that I'm aware
Okay,
of.
well, we'll check with, we got a number to call for Waste Management. We'll find out what the truck weighs. We'll try to want to find out what I'll call it the bucket weighs or whatever the yard weighs before we even start to put the stuff in it.
Yeah, because they look at gross vehicle weight on that.
Right.
GVW. And whatever the bucket is going to be, as you refer to it, as a roll-off, as Bert says, is going to be included in that weight.
26 tons of vehicle, the container itself, and whatever is in the container.
That would be correct. That's my understanding, and I would verify that with Waste Management as well. But again, I'd also talk with Dale Ream about this because he is the person that's going to have the latest information when it comes to where Wayne County stands with the bridge and what they anticipate.
I'll talk to Dale and I'll also talk to Waste Management and see how much this stuff weighs before we even put anything in it.
Absolutely.
So, it could be, I don't know, say for an example, it's half the weight before we start.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means we only have to be able to fill in a little bit.
I think between Dale and Waste Manager, they can give us some pretty good guidelines.
I would think so.
Depending on what material, if it's yard waste, I don't think we'd have, that's one thing. If it's junk, refrigerators or whatever, that's something else. Okay. What if you need any help on that, let us know.
Also, there's no TVs. No TVs. No hazardous waste, no paint, no...
No electronics.
14th and the 15th of October.
9 to 5, just like it's always has.
Waste Management may tell you that as opposed to guessing at what the weight is, they would probably have a pretty good idea what size. If you have a 5-yard dumpster, that maybe that would be all that you could reasonably expect to fill, as opposed to a 10 where you might fill it halfway and be guessing. So they may be able to give you some idea based on the size of the container, the roll-off as Bert calls it, where you would have to be able to fill it up maybe all the way or something like that, so it's self-limiting.
And we get into arguments. Let's get the small one and fill it up and go on. Because if we get the big one, you got people that bring their crap and they keep bringing it. And, oh, well, you got a little more to do. You can do this. You can do this. Well, no, I don't want to go there.
You've done an excellent job over the years,
We fill the
Woody.
small one up, then we go with that. We don't get, well, you got all that room out there. No.
Smaller might be better.
Maybe we can get some of the high school students to help us as volunteers, because I think particularly we're going to need a lot more monitors than we have.
Yeah, because you got people, you got hidden places that you can throw stuff, and we're not watching at all. Especially that we don't have that big of a crew out there. Maybe 2 people, and we can't do the whole thing.
Probably need at least, what do you need, double that?
Yeah, at
4?
least.
At least 4, maybe 5 people per shift.
Right. I can do Sunday. I'm not going to do Saturday. So who can work the other days? Who can work Saturday?
I can work Saturday.
Okay. Cliff. Who else with Cliff?
I'll work with Cliff.
Okay, we got Carl. Anybody else? Because that's in this in the morning, and who's going to work the afternoon then? Of Saturday. Okay, what about you, Daryl?
I have to.
Your schedule with your schedule or your wife?
Both. Both.
Okay, so, okay, I'll take Sunday, and,
We have 4 people.
and Jack Pucci said he'd work Sunday, so he might work, he does the afternoon, but I'll be there all day, so, but we need more people. I mean, it's just us. If it's just us,
With not being kept up to date with the latest bridge closing, traffic delays, and water main breaks on Gross Eel? This app changes everything. Gross Eel Connect is designed to provide you with a mobile web page with info on meetings, events, alerts, things to do, maps, and recreation. All of this information in the palm of your hands. Go to the Apple Store and Google Play and download.
Saturday from 9 until 12:30, then from 12:30 to 4. And then we'll repeat that on Sunday. So, again, if you're sitting at home, give us a call and offer your services to be a monitor for us. Thank you.
because sooner or later, if that doesn't happen, we just won't have it anymore. And the rest of the people have to take it to the street, which they don't want to take now.
I think I can work the morning of Saturday, but I have to check my
I'm flexible, Woody, so...
Yeah, okay, well, you're going to have somebody in the afternoon. We just can't stop at 12:30.
I can do it in the afternoon if need be.
Okay, we're going to have, you can have 2 in the morning and 2 at night, in the afternoon. What can you do?
A good source of possible volunteers would be the wood cutting folks. We've got their contact info. I don't know if Pat or you have their contact info, but you know they benefit from open space, so it'd be good if they volunteered.
Woody, I'm torn between working with you half a day on Sunday or all day Saturday with Cliff. Any thoughts?
What you want to do.
Let me know where you need me. I'll certainly work
The
Saturday
thing is,
morning.
in the morning, if you got 2 in the morning and then it's see, we've only got 3 now in the morning. Okay, I mean 3 total, and you got to have somebody in the afternoon. Now, I want to go and drop some stuff off with a hazardous waste. I'll work all day Sunday. If I have to pick up Saturday, I will, but I don't want to. Usually it's just us. Just me and a few people that straggle in. I stray again.
Well, we'll hopefully now it's being now we're on TV. Hopefully we'll be getting some more volunteers. So if you want to volunteer, get in touch with me personally or get in touch with somebody in the township and indicate what dates and what times you'd like to volunteer.
Okay.
All right, let's. This is a difficult subject we've been trying to work on for the last, I would say, at least 8 months now. And that's the ferry trail issue. We have some late breaking news as far as the trail is concerned. Bert, would you? What happened?
Well, I spoke with a property owner on Ferry. Somebody we've been hoping that we might be able to work with for a new access point, but basically it was just a quick conversation, so this is something that we're going to be working on and keeping people posted.
Contact with him. The issue is not closed at this point in time. All we ask is be patient. We're working on it diligently when we're trying to find a solution to the issue. We did put up some signs, no trespassing signs. We had some made. We put 2 of them on the trail to discourage people from vandalism on the trail and to the new homeowner's home. And hopefully that did some good. So the police are aware of it, and those few non-thinking individuals who think it's smart to do something and tear something down or tip something over, you do it at your own risk. If you're caught, you're going to be prosecuted. We're doing our best to resolve this issue.
How much vandalism's been going on?
Porta potties that have been tipped over.
Where are they?
And I believe at the construction site. And also, I think there's been some other types of vandalism that's been.
What construction site?
The homes that are being constructed, Woody, on the property at the south end.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. Okay, the next item is the status of the trail maintenance work. Daryl, we have 3 trails that are being worked on.
Yeah, the Centennial Farm. All the other trails have been completed. So we have some low areas in there that have to be corrected with mulch, and it's fairly taken care of by the neighborhood there. They're mowing the grass and keeping the trails open. It's very nice.
What I've
Who's cutting the grass?
The neighbors.
Oh, the neighbors. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, the
what
neighbors in the
I've
neighborhood.
heard over about Centennial Farm situation is that there's a lot of encroachment by the neighbors, that there's commercial vehicles that are parked on open space property and possibly even driveways built. So,
Well, the neighbors will have to report that to the police department.
well, the neighbors are doing it, and
They have to control that. The police
Well,
department.
the Conservancy folks who reported it to me said that they've spoken with open space people and the township, and it needs to be handled by the township officials. And it
Yeah. Well, this is the first I've heard of that.
All right.
Yeah, very first time.
Wow. Just because it's open space doesn't give right to. So I think we have to raise this to the level.
Keep the police alert on it.
I think the code enforcement officer be responsible for that. And he
Exactly.
would go through and survey those areas, and where there is encroachment, he sends, what's the priest? He signs him a warning letter, and then if he doesn't comply, there's a fine. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, Tony Gray would be the person to contact on that. Tony is the officer that would generate a letter, basically a letter that would indicate that you have encroached on open space property. Please stop doing that. Remove whatever you have built. And you have a driveway, as an example. You would either want to have that removed, or, with Tony's discretion, perhaps just a cease and desist and let it naturally grow over. But the first time is a friendly letter, and then the second time has teeth in it, where you're going to go ahead and say, look, you've been warned, you need to do something forthwith.
Are you talking about commercial vehicles?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, we're talking about commercial vehicles.
So what I'll do is I'll have this Conservancy member maybe send me an email and photos and stuff, and we can start putting more attention to that.
I would welcome the opportunity to walk that with them, whoever
Okay.
he or she is. Bert, please.
Yeah, whoever.
I would do that, and then make the contact with Tony and say these are specific things that we've observed. And Mr. Gray, could you look at it, send out the appropriate letter, and then follow it up with something in a couple of weeks, appropriate amount of time, to make sure that we have compliance. If we don't have compliance, then you take it to the next level.
All right.
I would look forward to walking it with whoever is interested and whoever has the information.
All right, I'll make that connection there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Person, you've already reported on the trail. That trail is finished on the Manchester Trail. So another job well done. So we'll take care of it from here. Thank you, Pam. The Playscape.
My last inspection of the Playscape trail, I found a little bit of litter, enough that I could just pick it up and deposit it in the trash barrel. There are no fallen trees, so those were taken care of, but there's one that's very close to the path with the branches almost reaching out over the path. So maybe if you told me that TNT is going in there with chips, because it was almost bare of chips, just weeds growing up. So if they're planning to...
which they are.
Yes, that's good news. Because the chips have just kind of disappeared over the past few months. And the path is really just a footpath like an Indian trail. One person can walk it, but more than one person, it's so narrow. And I'm hoping that TNT can widen it enough so that at least two people can walk the trail.
Another issue is that we've had some instances in the past of some vandalism and other nefarious activities taking place on that trail, so hopefully that's on the decline now. Well, it's particularly with, it's not what they've been vandalizing, but what they've been doing back there. Not a very pleasant talk about. We have to be on the guard for that issue. Let's see. The next item is the welcome letter. Woody, we've had about 3 months. Have you sent out any additional welcome letters?
I got them all set. I got a list today. I'll be working on it tomorrow, and I'll bring it down to Donna, and she'll take care of it. I'll go with her, and we'll do the stamps. We have to do stamps on it, and we have to stamp it also, besides just writing a letter and putting it in this envelope.
Very good. Thank you very much for doing that, Woody. We appreciate it.
Yeah, volunteer.
The last item is I've been looking for a liaison for the Bike Path Committee for quite some time. Brian and I have had conversations about it, and I would like to establish on a permanent basis a liaison relationship with your committee, Brian. We can either work at we can work at a number of ways, and I think we've talked about it over the phone, and if you want to comment on that, we would appreciate it. Either send us copies and we'll exchange copies of the minutes, or else you could have somebody attend and sit in on our first part of our meeting, or we could do the reverse. Do you have any thoughts or ideas on that? Please, yes.
I think whatever works to keep the dialogue going is great. So, I know that we're happy to come out to your committee, and if we do have someone available, we'll definitely try to come and show up. I felt it was, as the commission chair, is my duty to come for the first one, but in the future it might be somebody else in my place. We're going to potentially alternate, but if someone does have the ability to come to our meetings, that's always welcome as well, because we do a lot of brainstorming on the air as well, and we're happy to have input. But at the very least, we can share meeting minutes and have a
Well, I'll let you start effective tonight. Then the they don't necessarily have to stay for the whole meeting, but they are certainly welcome to do so. We have the liaison updates at the beginning of the meeting. That's what we always do, so they don't have to stick around, but that would be fine. But we'll start immediately with the exchange of the minutes. And if we don't have anybody here, we can briefly go over the minutes and go over any activities that we may need to interact on and vice versa.
Great.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brian.
Cliff?
Yes.
Brian, when does your commission meet?
The third Thursday of the month at 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
Question and a comment that I'd like to share with
Go ahead, please.
you mentioned that they now have people walking dogs. How many do we have along the trail?
We do not have any up at this moment. That's something that we're still exploring. So we hope to have some up soon, but there's just a few things that need to happen first.
I've seen a couple around town, but it seemed like that would be a good place to have opportunity to get plastic and take care of any problem.
Yeah, I believe we have a pilot location right by the Macomb Commons, because we had a lot of the festival, the concerts happening over the summer, and people would be bringing their dogs up. So we thought, okay, that would be a good spot to try out, see if the materials that we're thinking about using actually work pretty well. And so what we're trying to do is attach it to other signs that are already around, so that way we're not putting up yet another post and more clutter along the path.
There's one at the Gibraltar Refuse, too.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Somebody came up to me and wanted to suggest a needed bike trail in the future. She said that the bike trail now goes down Grow Road, but it would be great to connect Grow Road and take it down East River to the yacht club. And she said that's kind of a dangerous, narrow road there, and she would love to see a bike trail for bikers to go down there.
That's great. That's one that we do have recorded and was investigated in the past, and we'll definitely keep that on the radar.
And how about connecting with the trail that's going past Elizabeth Park and down West Jefferson? Is that going to happen?
That one is definitely on the list as well, and word of warning, that's my sort of pet project, the one that I feel very passionate about. And the reason for that is because of it has the highest traffic volumes on Roselle, and there isn't that much space, and you have to get to the bridge, and as well as it's part of the Iron Bell Trail. So the route actually comes on to Roselle Parkway, and so we're trying to find some route that will be suitable. So we're in the planning stages to see if there's anything that specifically makes sense, but that's one that we'd like to pursue, and I think it's better to look at that sooner because there's some potential grants that we can go on by now. But once Governor Snyder leaves office, who knows what's going to happen with those type of grants.
Well, every time I go down Meridian to Four Corners, there's like an alley just before Parkway that's, I think it was platted for a road at one time, and there are hardly any trees down there. It does hit the back ends of the homes along Parkway, and I think at one time that was considered, but there was some objection from the homeowners. But to me, that would be a safe, off-the-road type bike trail. And I write for our local Grosse Ile Grand, and I just sent in an article today. I found out that on August 19th, there were 225 bicyclists that took the 100-mile drive or ride from Wayne State University to Grosse Ile. And they had a police escort, and they arrived, their final destination was the Commons, and they gave them snacks and Gatorade and Band-Aids if they needed them, and then they made the return trip.
Wow.
And so we had 225 bikers, or not bikers, cyclists, that their destination was Grosse Ile. And this is the third year they've done it, and the president of Wayne State University was among the riders that did the 100-mile ride.
Yeah, I had some brief conversations with the organizer for the event. We wanted to make sure that everything went well for the event, and he knew that we did the walk the path, and he wanted to make sure that, well, if that was still going on, and he said that Grosse Ile was the highlight of the bike ride. Many people, are doing the Barradour just, to be a part of the event, to come out here to Grosse Ile, and they really liked the walk the path aspect of, the music and stuff that was going on at the Commons as well. One last thing I'll just add is, we talked about a couple different bike paths or, different facilities that might be out there. This is just purely planning stage, and you're just trying to see if things make sense, because I just want to say that our commission really wants to focus on public outreach, and that anybody that would be involved or affected by such paths and such, we're going to reach out to them, and they're going to be some of the first folks to know about it and show a bunch of different alternatives, as opposed to trying to ram something down, just giving people one choice. So I just want to let you know that there's nothing moving forward at this time.
Thank you very much,
money in
Brian.
the bank?
Yeah.
Not for capital, not for construction, unfortunately.
Just go down the. Have any, before we adjourn, any comments that you might have, Darrell?
None for me.
No. I have none, although I think I would like to, next meeting, have about a 15-minute study session. This ferry trail issue problem. Plan that for the next meeting. Or after. We'll decide later on. Woody, do you have anything?
No, I'm all done.
Okay. Carl?
Just one question. Was that going to be a study session, or did you want to go to an executive session?
It might be better an executive. Would it be better to have an executive session?
I would run that by Sharon.
Okay.
Make sure that it's appropriately posted and noticed, please.
Okay. If you think an executive session would be more appropriate, that's exactly what we'll do. Okay, I have nothing further. Anything else, Carl?
No, sir.
End the session.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.